LeBron James recently spoke out about a myriad of things to do with the Lakers, from the roster construction to the new coaching staff and his son Bronny James being on the squad. He also talked about his mindset going into year 22 and his 7th season with the Lakers. What's good, y'all, and welcome to another Lakers Digest video. I'm your host, Okechi Apakama, and before we get into everything we have for you for today's video, guys, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For those of you guys who do subscribe to the channel and watch, I appreciate y'all, and I see you. Now, with that out the way, let's hop straight into the topics we have for you today, as LeBron speaks about the roster and new coach. So, the Lakers, for the most part, have stayed relatively the same roster-wise, while obviously the big change being bringing in J.J. Redick, the new head coach, along with Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks. And then their 2 new draft picks have been their only acquisitions they've made to the roster. However, that hasn't dampered LeBron James's confidence in Lakers' ability to contend, as he has confidence in himself and Anthony Davis. So in a recent interview that he had with ESPN's Dave McMiniman, this is what James said. So, of course, James told ESPN when asked about the possibility of the Lakers contending again while he's still with the franchise, because we've done it before. We still have the 2 guys committed every single day, myself and Anthony Davis. We commit to excellence to win, and we feel like any situation, any given year, we can put ourselves in a position to succeed. We are not that far off. So that is about the second time we've heard a Laker personnel, because J.J. Redick said something similar, that the Lakers aren't that far off. And I believe both of them are correct, because both LeBron James and Anthony Davis had all NBA seasons last year. I mean, if you don't believe it, like, take a look at some of these stats here for LeBron, as he averaged 25 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 8.3 assists to go along with 54% from the field and 41% from 3. And this is for a guy who's about to turn 40 in December. So that's why LeBron has this kind of confidence, not only in his own ability, but his running mate Anthony Davis, because both of those guys were tremendous last season. Obviously, they were relatively healthy last season. That what dictated and changed things, and that's what led a lot of people to believe, like, why the Lakers didn't make any roster adjustments or any roster moves. But LeBron also talked a little bit more about that. So this is what LeBron said, he said, "It takes 2 to tango." James told ESPN about the Lakers' failed attempts. "I think our front office, our coaching staff, they tried to do the job they wanted to try to get the guys to come. It didn't happen, and that's okay. That's part of the business. I've been in this business long enough to know that sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So we don't sit here and lie and cry about it. We move on." And Clay's a great player. Obviously, DeMar's a great player. Valanciunas is one of those guys who ended up going to Washington, was someone that was in talks with us, but we move on and see how we continue to get better. I am looking forward to this fall when I get back out there, he said. So that is obviously LeBron James speaking about what he thinks about how the Lakers roster moves, and he understands that it is kind of hard, especially with some of these rules that have been laid upon the Lakers with the first and second apron, so making it harder to make some moves, and then also just some of the players just choosing elsewhere or just having different situations, different points of their careers. So it's not always going to work out getting the free agents that you want to get. So for the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James knows that the Lakers, they tried. That's the thing that I've always liked about the Lakers. They've always swung for the fences when it comes to getting free agents or getting big name players. They are not a team that likes to shy away from that type of conversation. So that's what I appreciate about the Lakers and Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss. And LeBron, I think, appreciates that too, as he sees the Lakers trying to make that effort. And that's why he took less to keep the Lakers under that second apron and give them a little flexibility in when it comes to making some other roster moves if they can. Because the roster isn't set in stone, while most of these guys who are on the roster probably are going to be there, barring a trade, of course. But LeBron understands that it is not easy to make some of these deals. So with the Lakers, the squad that they had last year, especially when they put Rui Hachimura into the starting lineup, a lot of things flowed a lot better and things made sense for them. So sometimes it could be just a little bit about just positioning certain guys on the roster and playing them in certain situations. That's why I think the Lakers invested in a guy like Max Christie, bringing him back on a 4-year deal, because they believe in a guy. they believe in his ability to really help this Lakers squad. So there's a couple of things that the Lakers could do in-house and just have internal improvement among some of their players to really help them get to that next step. And then LeBron James, as far as he's concerned, him and AD are all NBA players, and as long as those guys are out there and healthy, ready to go, the Lakers are always going to be a formidable foe for anybody in the Western Conference. And so LeBron also spoke a little bit more just about the coaches. So this is what he said about the coaching hires, and he said, "I am not involved in coaching hiring, but I'm excited about JJ." He said, "I'm excited about working with Nate McMillan. I haven't worked with him since the Olympics run in 2008, and first time working with Scott Brooks. Looking forward to that. I'm excited about that. That's been the extent of the summer of the Lakers so far." So those couple of new coaches, some of you who are basketball fans may know, obviously, Nate McMillan from some of his Portland Trailblazers days, Scott Brooks from his OKC days. So those two guys have been head coaches in very good winning environments. So it is very important to have that with JJ Redick on his staff, to have some of those guys that he can kind of lean on for certain decision making and just certain situations that only an experienced head coach would have. As far as JJ Redick, I obviously do think him and LeBron have a great relationship. Obviously, they had the podcast Mind the Game that they were doing together, and so they're guys who look to be probably very collaborative in this process when it comes to the Lakers and how they play and just certain things of that nature. So I don't really worry about that relationship too much there. They're already good friends before, and then now you add some of the basketball elements and both of their desires to win, because I know JJ Redick, yeah, he was a guy who didn't win at the NBA level, that championship, but he was a guy who was a hard-nosed competitor, and he was a person who did not like to lose, and LeBron James is similar of that ilk. So those two guys will really probably strive to push each other to do better. So that's why I think that he's probably good with having JJ Redick there. So moving on to my next topic here, because he also did talk about his son, Bronny, because that's an unprecedented thing that we've never seen before. And he actually, LeBron defended Bronny here, because there has been so much scrutiny and just things of topics of that nature, like of nepotism, and does he really deserve the situation, or does he really deserve to be here? And LeBron James had a very lengthy quote, but it was, I think, a very important and impactful quote that he said about his son Bronny. So this is what LeBron James said. So he said, "Just imagine if you were a kid. You were born into a situation where your dad was a super famous, super wealthy, and you're a kid and you still have the drive to accomplish things for yourself." James, 39, said, "Personally, I don't know if I'll be able to do that if roles were reversed. When I was coming up, I had no choice. I literally had no choice. I had to make it out for me, my mom, my family, my hometown, my city. Bronny had all the choices in the world. If Bronny wanted to stop right now or never play basketball, or if he just wanted to be a gamer or just want to be a chef, or wanted to do nothing or nothing to whatever, he could have done that. People don't understand how hard it is and the commitment for him to be coming from heart surgery less than a year ago for him to be able to be in the NBA. The kid is special. The kid, he's special, but he doesn't care. He doesn't." James continued, "It doesn't bother him." And so that is obviously a lengthy quote there, but then I think there at the bottom there is very important that Bronny James just doesn't care about the criticism or what people say about him, because this is something that he's kind of been dealing with his entire life, especially when you get LeBron James's namesake, because Bronny is a nickname. But for a guy that growing up in that environment, it can do a lot of things for you, but it's very good for him to have a level head. He seems like a very level-headed guy. He doesn't really seem like he is entitled. So he looks like he seems to be a guy that is always working to get to where he is, and that's what I admire at these early parts of seeing Bronny James here at this stage here. And then as far as LeBron James and just that whole dynamic, this has never really been seen before, especially in the sport of basketball. So all of these things that are going to be happening here in the next few months are all going to be unprecedented and never really experienced before, and probably won't be experienced ever again, because I don't know how many NBA players can play for as long to have their son join them in the league, and their son even be good enough to join them in the league. So for Bronny, this has kind of been a little bit of my gripe with just people just constantly berating this guy who are like, oh, he doesn't deserve to have his opportunity. But this guy came into the combine, was one of the better athletes there. He shot extremely well. So he definitely showed that he can be an NBA prospect and be deserving into these rooms. And he definitely could have been drafted, say, if Rich Paul didn't give those stipulations there in the second round, because he was worked out by another team, the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns were also thinking about him, even drafting him in the first round. So to say that Bronny James doesn't deserve to be here, I think is really just overblown speculation. This is just people really coming in, try to give their 2 cents about a guy that really has nothing to do with their life. And Bronny, just the way his demeanor is and just the way he plays, I really respect it, because can be very, very difficult to be in the media storm that is LeBron James. And then it's even different when you're LeBron James's son, being on his team and being his teammate. So a lot of those things can definitely drive a person crazy, but for Bronny to keep that level head and just keep it about the basketball, I think that's going to be a very good way for him to thrive in the league. Obviously, he had a bit of a scuffle, not a scuffle, but like just a bit of a rough game shooting wise in his first summer league game there in the California Classic, but it was his first game in months, so it's going to take him a little bit of while. He's going to need those game reps, and he just needs a guy that I think needs to play and develop and grow under a system, because some of these guys are kind of similar. Just when I'm thinking of like player NBA or former NBA players' sons. So a guy that I really just sort of gravitate to and think about when I think about Bronny is Gary Payton II. So for those of you who know Gary Payton Sr., he was the glove, tremendous defender, one of the better point guards in the 90s, and a Hall of Famer. And then in comes his son a couple years ago. I want to say 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. But like Gary Payton Jr. Came in, and then he was a G League player, so he bounced around the G League a little bit, was really trying to find his footing and find it there, and then he eventually found his niche with the Golden State Warriors, and then obviously helped that team win a championship. So I think that is a proven path and a known path that a guy like Bronny James can take, as he has similar traits and similar attributes to a guy like GP2. So if Bronny is able to develop and help that growth, and it looks like the Lakers are willing to help him with that. That's why they drafted him. It wasn't just because, well, part of it was, but like it wasn't fully just because Bronny James was the son of LeBron James. Two things can be true at once. Yes, he was the son of LeBron, but also he has some real basketball skill and real basketball ability that could translate to the next level at a high level too. So for a guy like Bronny James, he's just got to keep his head underneath the water and just focus on the game, because that is what's really going to show. And if he plays well, that's only going to bode well for him, and bode well for a guy like LeBron James. Is just how he raised a guy, especially while playing in the NBA, to be an NBA level player, because not a lot of NBA fathers and sons can really say that. There's only just a handful of guys. But let us know what you guys think in the comments down below of what do you think about LeBron's comments, of like what he thinks about the roster, and what he thinks about the coaching staff as well. And then what does he think about Bronny James? Do you think that this is going to be an issue for him down the line? I know the media storm is going to be loud and crazy, but do you think it's going to affect Bronny James during the season? Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. I have been your host, Okechi Apakama, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.